Yes, yes, Sir Hairless here. Today we have a song called Singularity and it's by BTS, or more specifically it's sung by their member V. I've done one of V's songs before and that was Stigma. Please check that out if you haven't already. Card for that will be up here. Thank you to Anna for this one. It is a Patreon request. Here are the lyrics on the screen now, and I have checked and the video does have subtitles, so I'll be able to see it in English as the song goes on. Singularity. I think that's a very striking title. By definition, that means the state of, well, essentially just being single. But when I hear this word singularity, I think of the space-time meaning, maybe because it's been in games and stuff that I played growing up, which is definitely much more intense. It's pretty much somewhere in the universe where physics, the laws of physics just completely break down. This song title is probably not referring to that in some obscure way. I mean, it could be about some sort of breakdown, perhaps. The lyrics certainly are quite vague and they seem pretty deep. You know, they're not obvious at all. I'm sure we all interpret these lyrics differently. Could they be about not being true to yourself? By the lyrics, it certainly looks like it could be an interesting song. So without further ado, let's get straight into it.
난 문득 잠에서 낯설음 가득한 소리 귀를 막아보지만 잠에 들지 못해 목이 자꾸 아파와 감싸보려 하지마
Alright, based on the lyrics, this is the chorus now. Wow. The word that's coming to mind is smooth. It's a very smooth song, quite cool, I think, as well. I'm sure you'll agree with me on that one. I'm going to do a pause here. We'll go over some of what we've just heard. If you don't want to hear my thoughts and want to continue with the song, go to the timestamp. Alright, so straight away, we get quite a few clues about what we're going to be hearing in the song. We have only gone up to the chorus, to be fair. I don't know if it changes afterwards, but I'm going to assume it stays in this style. So what do we hear? The first chord. We know the harmony is going to be very groovy, quite soul, quite funky. What we're hearing there is this. But then it's the bass that completely changes it. We go from this C sharp or D flat minor chord to, if we move up the bass note and group all of the notes together, we can see that it's a scrunch chord, but not so scrunchy that it sounds bad or nasty. Very, very smooth. And so much soul or funk music makes the most of these harmonies, and we'll hear them everywhere. From what I've heard, there are not many bog standard simple chords in this. They are all kind of funked up in one way or another. The chords played on a synthesizer, an organ type sounding, you know, a keyboard instrument. Praise be the age of technology where we can have all these different sounds being produced by them. The bass though seems segregated. Whether or not it's actually played on a separate instrument, I don't know. You can do anything on a computer or on a keyboard these days, but the sound is different. It's not this sustained synthesizer type sound you get in the upper instrumentation. Instead, it's harsh, very rhythmic, and this is important because every time it comes in, it's like an injection of energy, which has a secondary effect of really enhancing, and this is not what you'd normally expect with music, but the silences. So much of this song is quiet, or there's not much going on. So when we do hear something like those bass parts or a chord change or the beats, which are quite infrequent, not very intense, they have more of an impact because they're heard less frequently. And it's the same for V's vocals, which are so smooth. So much air in the voice. You can literally hear at the end of that phrase, the audible note stops being heard. It's just a type sound. Just a breath. So overall, it's quite a, I don't know what the word is, not sensual, but emotionally intense song, I think. The video as well, very cool. His right arm is replicating this love interest, which is a coat on a pole.
낯설음 가득한 소리 귀를 막아보지만 잠에 들지 못해.
And like I said, there's not much going on musically. We have funky chords, but things are quite simple, including the melody. And that's why that little run there, down and up, I really like it. It adds so much to the song. If we just deconstruct it quickly, it is very simple. You just take a handful of notes and then go down them and back up.
귀를 막아보지만 잠에 들지 못해.
These are the notes. As you can see, it's a G sharp minor chord, but this note that we just heard is the G sharp. So then by going one more, which is the same as this top note, just down the octave, this is a second inversion G sharp minor chord, which simply means root position is having the G sharp at the bottom, such as here. First inversion is having the next note of the chord at the bottom, which is this one. And then second inversion is having this note at the bottom. That's not as harmonically strong as if you had the root note in the bass part. We don't have the root note. We don't have first inversion. We don't have second inversion. What do we get in the bass? Well, it's this. If we move it up the octave, look at that scrunch chord.
귀를 막아보지만 잠에 들지.
Cue Sir Hairless from the future to hop over to the piano, and I'll just play the introduction roughly. And when I play this clip, focus on the rhythms, because this is in something called swing rhythm, which you can think of as just bouncing the rhythms. So with this opening phrase,
무언가 가시는 소리.
see, one is longer than the other, and then the other one is shorter. If it wasn't swing rhythm, if it was standard, it would just be cha 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 dum 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 dum. Equal rhythms. So swing rhythm gives it a natural bounce, a natural lilt to the sound. Cha 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 cha. Also related to the rhythms, we think in threes here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. As opposed to your more standard common time where you'd be thinking in twos or fours. Waltzes, the very traditional dance, they are in three because of their natural chiam pom pom chiam pom. So overall, this song does have a very bouncy feel to it, even though we're not hearing too much. It's not that intense or full of a sound. And I think that's why the word smooth comes to mind. As for the video, I like it actually. We're not seeing any instruments being played, so it's very much focused on the dancing. I'm still fairly new to BTS. If you want to see all my previous BTS reactions, you can find them in the playlist up here. But I am aware that they're very good showmen and very good dancers. All the lighting changes as well. Oh, that low bass sound. This style of music, the super low bass, the kind of jittery, quite disjointed, very inconsistent chords that you hear. It does remind me of a couple of other songs, such as this song, which is Sam Smith with Disclosure. I'm sure you can see what I mean by that, and then a bit later on. So when you have the sustained chords, the focus is really on these funked up harmonies I've been speaking about we get in this and Singularity, and otherwise we get these kind of disjointed sounds, especially with that bass part, like again we get in this. That's not a comparison in any way, it just reminds me of that other song because of the very interesting and not commonly seen stylistic choices that we get here. Yeah, I think it's very cool. Let's carry on. yeah, it's continued this very smooth, groovy, cool feel. And I feel with this type of music, it's very important to not be changing drastically, suddenly going to calm, then to hectic, then to sad, then to soft, then to loud. You get the idea. But that comes with the risk of being boring if you keep everything exactly the same. So what we've noticed here, overall it's the same, but they're just adding in little things here and there to increase the variety. Very subtle, but I think they have a really big impact. One example, that descending phrase that goes back up that we spoke about before, this time they've just added him up the octave singing in his head voice. It's actually head voice at the end of the phrase, which then goes into chest voice afterwards. But at the start of the phrase on the initial descent, it's in harmony. Instead of the melody, which is. And I guess the standout moment was here. I'll work backwards. It finished with now we get a drum set coming in, and I was thinking, we're going to have some more percussion, but no, it immediately is removed again. So it's like it's teasing us. Well, at least I was teased, and straight back into the smooth groove. But from a harmonic perspective, it was here where they changed to the major. I was really expecting this chord, which is the overall key of the song, C sharp minor or D flat minor, but we instead get this note coming in, which transforms it into major. And why that's especially interesting is because V's melody is this. So amongst this chord, he sings these two notes. So we're hearing both the major and the minor chords at the same time, which when played like that, don't sound nice, which is why the instrumentation and the choices that you make are so important when you have a drastic harmonic change like that. Here, I think it works really well. Very, very smooth. The video, again, very cool. I love these masks. All suddenly disappearing. I'd like to think that's people dressed in black behind him with the mask showing. And I was mentioning the colors earlier. Very red oriented and these kind of pastel colors on a brown or black background. This drastic change, again, from here to here. I don't know if the lake imagery has something to do with this. There's a lot of talk of ice in this song. Lake, water, blue, white, water, ice. Again, change from purple to blue. And here, he's singing the same phrase that he's already sung. At least it's the same melody. So what does he do to make it different? Now it's some rhythmic change. Instead of dum da dum ba dum ba dum ba dum, we get ba-chun chun chum ba-cha cha chum. I don't need to explain that change. It's quite obvious, I think, but it's also quite subtle. Weird how it's obvious and subtle at the same time. And all in all, especially the video, it's just quite unexpected. I never know what's coming. And like I mentioned, when we paused for the second time, they just add little things in there. Here we get an instrument coming in. Sounds like a guitar with a whammy stick or something going wah, wah, wah. Okay, let's carry on until the end. Where we paused, we had this quite sharp dancing. And again, the imagery now, the colors has gone back to mostly white and black. Quite a stark contrast. There's that major change again. Ooh. Ending with a visual representation of the fragility, I guess we could say, the emotional fragility or uncertainty. I really like these colors, by the way, this combination of this, what would you call that? Light blue, turquoise, cyan, and then the reddy, pinky, and the white with the black tier. Very interesting, with a loved earring. Really interesting all round. Well, just a few final points. Again, at the end, the same ideas that we'd heard before, but even more growth, but still very, very subtle. Let's try and find a few examples. Actually, I'll just go through and point out anything that I found really interesting. So from where we carried on, the dancing. Very smooth to go with the smooth music, but also the opposite of smooth. Almost robotic in the end of each movement, which is interesting because I'm thinking overall, the song is very smooth, but there are elements such as the bass and the infrequent beats that are the opposite. They are quite brief but energetic. Same with the dancing, smooth, but you have these energetic movements at the same time. I've not explained that well, but I'm hoping you understand what I'm trying to get at. So here we now have a combination of all of the ideas and little variations that we spoke about earlier. Harmonies for the whole phrase from start to finish. That rhythmic change to cha cha chum cha cha chum rather than da da dum da da dum. And there are some added vocals in the background as well, more kind of vocalizations without lyrics, such as we get coming through in the background very subtly here. Something like, but it changes from a head voice or kind of blended voice into a predominantly chest voice. And then, I don't know what instrument this is, again, could just be in or on a synthesizer or done through a computer. Up the octave. And these alternations, dissonance, resolution, which to me is running in thematic consistency with the song. Overall, things seem good, seem smooth, they're quite groovy. But underneath, if you take a deeper look, we're getting weird things, these crazy contrasts, these juxtapositions, rhythms that we wouldn't expect, harmonies that don't work in theory. And if this was an English essay that I had to write on this song, I would say this is a representation of the emotional state in this. Look, it's an analysis. I may be going way too deep. I don't know who wrote this song, but whether or not they intended for this at all, who knows? Only they'll know. It may be the case where if they saw this video, they'd say, none of that's true. I just wrote the song because I thought it sounded good. And that's why I love music. It's so subjective and we're all going to view this completely differently. There's no right or wrong answer. Yeah, overall, smooth is the word I'm going to leave with this song. A very, very smooth song. Let's leave that one there. Thank you again for this request and thank you as always for watching. Let me know in the comments below any songs by BTS or its members you'd like to see me do in the future. This is one of my last videos of the year, so I hope you've had a very, very good 2024 and that 2025 is even better. If you enjoy my videos and would like to support me, you can do so by going to the Buy Me a Coffee down below and donating a hot chocolate or two. And if you'd like to join my Patreon, join the community, get access to exclusive content not on YouTube, you can do so by joining the link on the screen now, and I will see you next time.